Hello and welcome to my first Fulbright travel topic video. So today I'm going to be covering the journey to where I'm at now. I'm in Warsaw. I'm actually in my hotel room. I'll be here for a couple more days until I can take a train to my base in Stettin. So overall the trip went pretty smooth. The flight to Minneapolis went very well. And actually the flight from Minneapolis to France went amazing. I actually had an empty seat next to me, which is always great. I could put my backpack there. The other lady flying with me was French, and she was extremely nice, and we kind of shared the space and split up the extra room among us. I actually didn't sleep much on the flight, and it was about the time that I should have been sleeping once I arrived in Europe. We arrived in the morning in Europe, so if I had slept on the plane, that probably would have helped me adjust better to my sleep schedule because I'm pretty jet lagged right now. But yeah, one thing I did entertain myself with was the airplane actually had a built-in trivia quiz, and so I spent most of the journey trying to get the highest score possible on the trivia contest. I think I was the only one playing at the start because when I first started, none of these scores were recorded, and so anytime I won a game, it put me at the top. So I played for a couple hours, and that was kind of fun. And then I took about an hour nap. But when I logged back into the trivia contest and I played, I think my highest score had been like 40,000, which I know you guys don't really have a reference for that, but it had been 40,000, but a new person had set the new score at 70,000. And so I couldn't let that happen. So I spent the rest of the trip trying to get the best score possible. I ended up getting 130,000, and the next highest was 70,000. And I was also the only one vain enough to actually put my name on the score thing. So next time you fly Delta, check and see if my name is on the trivia thing. I have a suspicion that they wipe it after every flight, but you never know, you might see it. But anyway, I'm getting off point. So we got to France, and well, I guess I should back up. So even though I slept a little bit on the plane, I was still tired, not sleepy tired, just kind of exhausted. But up to this point, all my transitions in airports had gone really smooth. I get off the plane, find my connection, look at the map, go straight there, be ready to board. Everything went awesome. But France went a little different, and I think to fully explain, in order for you to fully realize the situation, I think I'm going to need some visual aids. So yeah, just bear with me on this one. In this diagram, I'm represented by the stick figure in green, and all other non-protagonists are in orange. So what we have is a flowing diagram of my movement from the top right to the top left, then to the bottom right as I move through the airport. So basically up to this point, all the terminal changes at previous airports have been super easy and efficient. But on this plane, we exit into a large window terminal with no maps or signage, and basically everyone just starts panicking and racing down the terminal, which you can see by my scale bar is approximately 16 miles long and did not connect to any other gate. Eventually we came to a landing with an arrival and departure sign that had so many people packed around it, pictured here as orange squigglies, that you would have thought that a Morton Joe was giving out water. After finding my flight gate 2F, I walked towards the only visible signage which said connections. After blindly going down several staircases, and I mean blindly because there were so many people you couldn't see what was in front of you, I finally arrived at a tram with a 2F sign overhead. I boarded this tram with a huge mob, and they basically just shoved everyone towards the back. Once the gates had already closed, I looked up and I noticed that there was a tram diagram showing the routes, and it basically only stopped at L, M, and E. So basically I was stuck in the tram until I arrived at 2E, which when I unboarded from, I found it actually connected to 2F. So basically I just blindly wandered to the correct gate. Also keep in mind that I only had an hour before my plane departed from when I landed. And now after traveling all this distance, I only had 30 minutes left. So once I arrived at gate 2F, I realized that because my flight had been an international flight and Europe treats flights within Europe as domestic flights, I still needed to pass through security scanners and border police. As I approached this area, there was a lone attendant checking people's boarding pass. This guy's depicted in red, by the way. And basically, he would scan their pass and it would beep. And if it beeped, he'd let them enter the security line. So I filed to the back of the line, and eventually I got to the front, and I gave him my ticket, and he went to scan it, and it didn't beep. And before I could say anything, he physically shooed me out of line, like moved his hands toward me, like get out of the way. He didn't say a word. He just shooed me out of line. So at this point, I'm literally standing next to the line that's several hundred feet long, as everyone that was behind me is just passing me and getting their tickets scanned. I'm panicked. My palms are sweating, like I don't even know. My heart's racing. I know I'm going to be late for my flight. And I'm staying there, and I kind of motion towards the attendant, and I try and tell him I don't understand. And I try to give him my ticket again, but he didn't even look up. He just kept scanning with his head down. So I panic and I look around, do a complete 360 of the room, and I notice over in the corner of the room there's a boarding pass print station, and there's a line there too. But it's basically my only chance of getting on my flight. So I run over there and I wait in line and I reprint my pass. And so I go back to line and I wait again and I give him my new pass and he scans it and it beeps. And he doesn't say anything. He didn't even look up. He didn't even know it was the same person that just had my ticket declined. And so I went and waited in this massive mob to get through security and the border police, which checked my boarding pass and my passport 3 separate times as I was waiting, which seemed a little excessive, but I mean, I guess you never know. So the border police finally approved my passport, and I go through the gate, and I see the sign for Terminal 2F, and at this point I'm thinking, yes, I think I can make it. I've got to be close now. And I check my watch, and it's 3 minutes till my flight departs. And I know that usually I have to be there when they board, but I've come this far, and I'm not ready to give up. So I pick up my carry-on, and I just take off sprinting with a clutch to my chest, just through this, up a couple escalators and a couple flights of stairs, and I finally get to the top of the stairs, and I think that I've got to be close at this point, and everyone's staring at me. I'm sweating, I'm panting, I've been sprinting with like all my luggage, and what I see is just a huge shopping gallery, like a donut-shaped ring of shops, and I see another sign for 2F off in the distance. So I keep sprinting, and I finally get to the terminal, and when I get there, it's just jam-packed from one wall to the other with people just strewn about, laying everywhere, bags across the ground, people leaning up against walls. You couldn't even tell like where the seating for one gate started and the other one ended. Everyone was just mashed together, and there was so much noise and confusion. And so I start stepping over people and, saying, excuse me, but those people don't speak English, so I don't really think it had the impact that I wanted. And I finally break through the crowd, and I see that my gate is the farthest gate from the entrance to the terminal. And when I get there, there's no one else sitting there, and I'm completely alone. And so I run to the boarding ramp, and I see my plane. So I start shouting and waving as loud as I can. And the 2 airline employees come up, and they say, "Sorry, sir, we're done boarding. You're just gonna have to book another flight." And I said, "Please, I really need to get on this flight," but they were pretty adamant. So they told me that there's more flights leaving the Warsaw later in the day, and I'll just have to book a flight. And they basically just directed me to the airline, I guess it's Air France service desk. So to make a long story short, I just had to end up going to the Air France help desk. They're actually really friendly, and but unfortunately, the employee there told me that all the other Warsaw trips were booked for that evening. And what's funny is all the people in front of me were actually speaking Polish. So I'm pretty sure that everyone from my flight basically missed their flight. So they took all the spots before I got there. But the employee did tell me that she would rather I not get stuck in France tonight, and that there was a flight leaving from Warsaw, heading to Warsaw from Amsterdam. So I ended up going to Amsterdam. She booked me the flight, And I got there and I landed, and there were clear signs pointing me directly to my terminal, no crowds, and I got to the help desk in Amsterdam. And the lady at Air France had put me on standby, which means I didn't have a seat secured, but if someone missed a flight like I did, that I would basically take their seat. And so I got there about an hour and a half early, and I went up, and this really nice, friendly Dutch lady came up and in perfect English would just like, "Hi sir, can I help you today?" And I just told her, I was like, "I've had a really long day. I'm not even supposed to be in Amsterdam right now." And I gave her my ticket, and she was like, "Oh, you're on standby." And I was like, "Yeah." And she started laughing, and she went and sat down on her computer, came back 30 seconds later and said, I have a seat for you, sir." And I said, "Thank you so much. This is awesome." And yeah, so I ended up getting to Warsaw 5 hours later than I was supposed to, but I did get there the same day, and I'm glad I didn't have like an overnight layover. So overall, it went pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with my hotel room. So thanks again for stopping in. Next video is going to be slightly more positive. It's going to be about how I'm settling in Warsaw and some financial and administrative things I've had to do. So the next video's topic is going to be how to get a mobile phone in Europe and how to open up a bank account, and also some funny things with language barriers. So I'll see you guys next time. Don't you worry.